Okay, nako, magandang kayo sa inyo lahat. Welcome mo sa ating program. Ako po si Sunny Laragan, no? Dito po sa programang Legal Advice Corner. Kasama lang ho ako rito, pero hindi ho ako ang tunay. I am not the actual host of the program. You can see it underneath. So it's with attorney Dana Quinto. And we have a very special guest solicitor tonight to talk about wills and estate planning. And he's also a part of Deo Volentes solicitors or DV's solicitors. So I guess let's call on our lovable, very intelligent beauty and brains combination. Our everybody's favorite, no, the lawyer of the Filipino community in the whole of the United Kingdom. It's none other than Attorney Dana Quinto. Attorney, good evening. Magandang gabi sa'yo.
Magandang gabi po, Mr. Laragan. Good
Yes.
evening sa Filipino community. Maayong gabi sa tanan ng mga Ilonggo dira. I'm here with a mashup, yun ba yung sabi na collaboration mashup version tonight with a very good colleague of mine because of public demand about questions about wills. Ang dami nating
Yes.
natanggap ng mga questions the last 2 weeks. So ginawa ko, nagdala ako ng kaklase. Other way around. Ayun pala, din sa kabila. Ifti Shaw, who's the head of probate.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yes, dati kong, he's living in St. Albans, which is where I used to live.
All right.
We share that common sort of background, and very, very fond of St. Albans. So good evening to everyone in St. Albans as well. Magandang gabi there's a Filipino community, a small Filipino community there. So good evening, magandang gabi. So yes, without further ado, what we're going to talk about, due to public demand, ang daming tanong sa Europa, ang daming tanong sa UK. So Ifti, tell us about your area, educate us, empower us. Go ahead. In Filipino,
With
in pure
pleasure.
Filipino.
Oy, well, you're originally from where? Ifti, from India? Is the family originally
No,
from India?
From Pakistan.
Pakistan. Okay.
Pakistan. So it was my grandfather that came to the UK. He settled here in St Albans, and ever since been living here. And I chose to qualify as a solicitor, and the area in particular that I liked when qualifying was. That was of particular interest was wills, probate, contentious probate as well. So that's the area that I decided to specialise in, and it's been a number of years now, and I've enjoyed it ever since. Really.
Why? How did it come about? Well, was it because you've got a family solicitors, or are family friends and families who are solicitors, and they specialize in wills and probate? Why that initially?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I'm one of the first in my generation to actually go to university and qualify as a solicitor, and I understood that there was a niche in the market for estate planning. So there's second, third generation communities here in the UK that have now settled, and they have accumulated an amount of wealth over the period of time. And what's interesting is that many people they work very hard, but all too often they don't actually know what the inheritance tax laws are, because very often not many people actually question those kind of things. And it's only once events happen, and that's when people react to actually think, oh, hold on a minute, why wasn't this actually thought about? And I've over the years I've gone out and educated many communities as well as within hospices, care homes. I've even done certain social media platforms as well at the same time, because it's an important topic, and all too often it's seen as a taboo subject. Not many people want to talk about this topic, but it's important that we encourage this kind of conversation, because the repercussions are is that inheritance tax is quite high in the UK. It's 40%. So by having these kind of conversations, it certainly takes away any complications. And I've found from personal experience, when when I initially started, a lot of people actually said, actually, do you know what? This conversation has saved me many thousands of pounds. So it's actually it's an area that I enjoy, and advising on estate planning is so different because you never get the similar kind of circumstances. So everybody's different, and everybody comes from different walks of life. So it's a really enjoyable area that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking to solicitors. You, Donna, for example, when you study law, do you decide as early as the first year that you're studying law at the outset, or is it somewhere along the way? On your probably second year or third year. How long, by the way, does it take you to finish law or become a solicitor or become a solicitor?
I took a slightly different route na hindi ako nag-bachelor's of law. I'll say the usual route is to do a bachelor's degree here, which is about 3 years in the UK compared to the Philippines, which is about 4 years. Either it's 3 years law. And then you do either the LPC, yung postgraduate, or the BPTC if you're becoming a barrister. So this is, I'm a bit old. I think lots of things are changing. I'm going to bring my younger team members to explain the updates on how to qualify. We're actually doing a specific segment on that. But I'll tell you, I'll answer the question straight away. You don't have to, because you have to do, the first part of the question is you do a postgraduate, you do an undergraduate, and then you do a postgraduate. With me, I came from non-law background. I did business. So I have to do a conversion course to convert that to law, and then another postgraduate, and then 2 years of training at a firm. Parang intern sa doktor, you're on the job training, you're a trainee solicitor. And normally around that time, dun mo malalaman kung anong area ka magpa-practice when you qualify. So not necessarily when you're still studying. Also, most of the time, it depends kung ano yung firm mo when you qualify. So for me, my mentor was doing litigation and family, and that's how I was trained, with a focus on that. And dun na nagumpisa lahat. So it's quite a long time, almost similar to Philippines, but very much focused on the job training. And even so, you still do, meron pa rin mga ibang solicitors who would add another area of law, even after qualification. So I don't know about FD, but for me, it's just that it was the only trained contract at that time. And, you land on a job and you make the most out of it and you enjoy it, and you ended up doing it for a very long time.
So, Ifti, is it right from the very beginning that you started, concentrating on wills and probate?
No, as a fact, I did do different areas of law.
Yeah, because would you be knowledgeable in some other parts, for example?
Yeah, totally. So there were certain other areas that I did choose to have a look at, and there was, for example, employment law that I really took a liking to. However, there was changes in the government guidelines as I was qualifying, and there was a fee change as well, where people would have to pay for the government introduced fees, application fees for lodging claims in the employment tribunal. So what happened was it became the demand reduced significantly with the amount of employment claims going in. So it was a choice for myself, thinking long and hard about things and thinking that will there be enough demand for the future, especially as a newly qualified solicitor, in order for me to get that kind of exposure. So it was more of a commercial decision that I had to decide whether how much longevity there would be in the employment area. It's not only one area sort of thing. There could be a whole host of sort of things that can influence your decision to choose certain areas. And I did have exposure in my training contract to personal injury, medical negligence, immigration as well as wills and probate. And I did more so wills and probate, and I did certainly take a liking to it with the estate planning advice that you're able to give clients, as well as dealing with the contentious side of wills as well. So it's quite a broad area, and it's certainly interesting as well.
Okay, so I'm going to be warning our kababayans, no. You can start maghanda na ho kayo because I'm asking them to get ready, Ifty, for their questions, because now you're going to be talking. So are there like points that you're going to be discussing? So
Yeah,
okay, so
I mean,
shall we start with it? We'll leave it to you to it. Okay. All right, go, go, go.
okay,
Ifty. Ay, mga kaibigan, pakinggan ho ninyo. Baka may mga tanong ho kayo mamaya. Tatanong natin kay Ifty, no? Okay, go right ahead, Ifty.
okay, thank you very much, Sonny. So today we could talk about the importance of making a will and having a will in place. Um, well, the common question is a will. A will is essentially a legal document that will sets out an individual's wishes, how they wish their estate to be distributed once they pass away. So it is a very, very important document to have in place. Statistically, in the UK, 62% of people haven't actually made a will. So it's a vast number of people that haven't actually got a will in place. So it's like I mentioned before, it's a taboo subject, and not very many people like to talk about it. But it's very important to have your affairs in place. And some people think, oh no, it's just a will, but it's more than just a will. And as a fact, there's the bigger picture where there's estate planning advice involved as well at the same time. So we look at many factors. What would give rise in order for you to consider making a will? There's several circumstances that would give rise for you to make a will. If you were to have children, it's certainly something to think about. So, who would look after your children if you were to pass? So, you'd think about who would be the guardians if you and your partner or you and your husband were to pass away. Who is it that you would like to consider having your guardians to, and who would look after the children? So that's something quite important to think about. Again, if you were to own property and it's with you and your partner, and you hold the property as tenants in common rather than joint tenancy. So what that means is you could either hold the property as joint tenancy, where it's right of survivorship, so where one party passes away, it automatically goes to the other party, or you could hold it as tenants in common. So tenants in common is essentially where you have your respective share and your partner has their own respective share, and then it's down to your will how you wish for that share to be distributed to the beneficiaries. Do you wish for it to go to your partner, or would you wish for it to go to family or close friends that you have in mind? It's totally at your discretion. So these are the kind of things that you need to think about. If you have assets, who would you like your accumulated wealth to go to? So it's very, very important, and especially in this day and age, there's more cohabiting couples than people actually marrying. So it's important to actually have your affairs in place and actually make sure that however you wish your estate to be distributed, it's actually set out in a will. So it's very, very important. The kind of things people should consider are who would be the executors. Firstly, so these are people that will have the responsibility of pooling in your estate, paying all liabilities, including taxes, and distributing to your beneficiaries. And that could be anyone. So it could be a close friend of yours, or it could be a family member. So it's totally up to you who you wish to appoint as your executor and trustee. what's important is that you make sure you have a conversation with them and now ask them, are they actually up to the role? Because sometimes people aren't actually consulted, and once the individual has passed and they've actually said, "Oh, hold on a minute, I wasn't actually consulted for this role. I don't think I'm actually quite cut to do this role." So it's very, very important that you actually have this discussion with your executors and trustees that they are actually willing to do this role. That's imperative that you've had this discussion with the person that you have in mind. Other things to consider is, like I've mentioned, who your guardians would be. So it could be close family members, or it can be someone that you trust. So that's very, very important. Just to take a step back on the executor side of things, you can, if you don't feel that you have got anybody that's close to you that you can entrust, you're also allowed to appoint professionals. So it could be any type of professional. It could be a solicitor or accountant. It could be a professional person that could carry out that role, as well as a layman. So layman being a friend or a family member. So it's totally up to you. It's at your discretion. So moving back onto the guardians, you need to consider who would be your guardian if you were to guardian of your children if you were to pass away. So that needs a lot of careful consideration. The next thing is to think about is you can make a specific gift or pecuniary gift. So specific is anything. It can be your car, it could be your jewelry, it could be paintings, it could be anything really. It could even be a pet if you wanted to. So it's totally up to you, but make sure they actually like the pet and you've actually consulted them. Yeah, it's totally up to you who you would wish to make that specific, what specific gifts you wish to give to individuals, and you give a detailed description of that item that you actually wish to be included in the will. The other thing that you need to consider is cash gifts. If you wish to make any form of cash gift to somebody, that's entirely at your discretion. So if you didn't want if you didn't want the executors, the beneficiaries, well, a scenario is you have the executor carrying out the role and he's not the main beneficiary to the estate. If you did want to appoint him, give him a small cash sum as consideration for actually carrying out the administration of the estate, that's entirely fine. Just for the work that they've had to do, that's entirely reasonable. You could give cash gifts to charities if you so wish. It's important that you actually make sure that the charity is registered with the necessary body as well at the same time, so it's regulated, and you could give a cash gift to a family member as well, or friends. So that's totally up to you. The other thing to consider, the next thing that you would need to consider is who would be the main beneficiaries of your estate. So that could be your partner, or it could be your husband or your wife in first instance. So it passes over to your husband or your wife, and then after that, then you need to consider who would be the next in line. Would it be your children? If it's your children, just you can list the names of your children, or you could just, if it's a growing family, you could just refer to them as your children. And when would you give your estate over to your children? Would you like it on trust until they've reached the age of 18, or 21, or 25? It's totally up to you. Is the age of what most people do is they go for the age of 25, purely for on the basis that the children are a lot more mature. They're able to make decisions for themselves, and if they did choose the route of university, they would have graduated by the age of 21, 22, and they would be in a job by the age of 25. But yeah, it's totally at your discretion when you wish to release the capital to your children. But obviously, the trustees would be in charge of that up until the um, relevant age. Um, so that's everything you really need to consider in a will, and uh, that could be a single will. Where people are married, there's something called mirror wills. So it's husband and wife. It will be two wills where your intentions are essentially reflective. So if the husband was to pass away, everything's to pass over to the surviving spouse, and then it's to go to the children, and it's mirrored that way. So um, they're the kind of things that you should consider. I, I'm not I'm not too sure if there's anything else that needs to be added on the will side of things, but that's certainly everything in a nutshell. I can certainly go on if you'd like me to.
Well, it's up to you. But we have some questions here. I guess we have some. Okay, let's say hello to Edgar Duway. Magandang gabi, Sunny, legend and attorney DQ and guest attorney Sha. All right. Oh, so you're a guest attorney Ifty. No, somebody's greeting you already. His name is Edgar Duway.
Okay.
He's got a question actually here, and he says, okay, he says, do we have to keep? Let me see if this would come up. Okay, the question is, do we have to keep the will in place, or can we ask a lawyer to keep it and execute it if I die?
Okay, right. Um, so my understanding of the question is whether can a solicitor keep the will for safe storage, or can a individual keep the will for safe storage? It's
So where
totally
is
up
it
to
kept?
you.
Where is it kept? That document, where does it go? Does it go in the bag of the solicitor? He said he puts it in a safe. So what happens? What's the
So
reality?
the law, yeah, so the law society stipulate that, as well as our professional indemnity insurer, they stipulate that it needs to be in a fireproof safe. So we provide that service where we keep individuals' wills in a secure fireproof safe, and it's accessible as and when the client requests for the will. So when they do request for the will, we would ask for the necessary proof that for them to bring the necessary proof of ID to the office, and we're able to provide them with their will from safe storage. And clients are also clients also have a note to themselves, and they've informed the executors of where the safekeeping is of their will.
So the executors have to be informed by the client, the person who made the will, more or less
It's
what would
important.
happen.
Totally,
Oh,
it's important for the executors to know where the storage of the will is, because it all too often not very many executors actually know where the individual's will was kept. So it's important to actually that the executor at least knows where the storage of the will is, at the very least. And then once if anything were to happen to the individual, we would ask the executor to produce the death certificate and their proof of ID and proof of address, and we'll be able to release the will.
so that's the reason why when you see in movies, for example, Netflix movies or any movie, wherein the solicitor would be coming in with the bag and taking out the will. Is that it? The storage is actually known by the lawyer, the solicitor, and he will be the one to collect it from there. Is that how it is?
To a degree. So yes, it is kept in a solid fireproof safe. We do have a vast amount. So yes, like I say, yes, it is kept in a secure location. Totally.
Okay, we have a question here from Agnes. Are wills in secret, wherein nobody knows the contents? Are they only known when the person who made the will dies? Is it in secret that no one of the relatives would know it? Is it really in
That's
secret?
that's, that's correct. So the content remains with the person that actually made the will, and that's the content that stays with them, and it's the information is only with them. We treat all our clients' information with great confidentiality, so it's only when the individual passes away is when we apply for grant of probate, and once grant of probate is released, that's when the document becomes a public document. But until then, it is in secret essentially, and it's only between the will is between just the person that's executed the will, and that is it really.
Have you ever experienced a reading out of a will where there was a scene, like relatives fighting, and probably getting into fist fights? Has that ever happened to you? Was there any dramatic experience, Ifti?
There have been many instances where there have been confrontational issues, and it's it's down to a will not being either a will not being correctly executed, or people not being considered in the will, or what we say is where you're making a will and you feel that there may be issues with, say, for example, one of the children, and you feel that uh, if they are excluded, they may challenge the will. We would recommend an explanation on the back end of the will to explain why is it that they haven't actually been included in the will. So there are very many types of instances that we do come across, and sadly, it's never nice, a nice scenario that happens. But the reality is, the individual that actually made the will would never actually think that this would happen as well at the same time. No matter, it's one of those things where no matter how hard you try to forecast things, you never know what may come out. So that's why we always do estate planning, and we always ask. I could give you examples. Where people have purchased properties and children have made contributions towards a mortgage over the years, as well as their parents paying. Children have also contributed, but on the legal title, it's only mum and dad that are on the property. Mum and dad pass away and leave the property to only one out of maybe 5 children that have all contributed towards the mortgage equally. That certainly causes issues. But mum and dad don't actually. It's important that mum and dad actually explain, and this is what we do in most of our meetings. We actually ask how are the mortgage payments made. What kind of it's more about mitigation and how we could reduce any type of future litigation going ahead. So it's important that clients do come to see solicitors, and it's a holistic approach. We look at everything rather than just the will itself. So we look at the bigger picture, and then we plan the will accordingly.
Okay, we have a follow-up question here. If the DANNA, no, we have a follow-up question from Edgar again. No, what instances a particular will can be overturned? What particular samples can it be overturned? Or probably, how do you overturn a will that's already been made? And when it's being, what's the situation, by the way, Ifti? You're in a room, for example, there's an executor, and then there are those, say, relatives, the children, I don't know, the grandchildren, they are there. So there's an executor there inside the room?
Yeah, the executors in the room, and what tends to happen is the will can be read to the beneficiaries, whoever the beneficiaries are in question, the will be read, and that those are the wishes essentially. The kind of instances where it can be overturned is it's going back to my example. Say, for example, the main residence, where mum and dad have been alive, and there's four children, and all four children have contributed towards the mortgage equally, and mum and dad have only willed the property to the youngest sibling or even the oldest sibling. The beneficiaries can question the validity of the will and say that they have a share in the property because they've made contributions towards a mortgage, towards a mortgage for, say, for example, 10 years or 15 years. So they have a right towards the property. So there's an argument there to say that they should have some form of interest in the property, given that they've actually made contributions during their lifetime.
Okay. All right. We have another question here from Ligaya. She says, when is the best time to make a will, Ifti?
Okay, there's many types of instances when the best time is to make a will. It, all too often it can be a change of circumstances. So it could be when you are when you are getting married, you can make a will, or when you have children, you should make a will, or even when you are working. So even when you're working, you may wish to start thinking about making a will and putting your wishes in place. It may be that you don't want certain people within your family to inherit from your estate. So you should think about who would you like to who would you prefer to benefit from your estate. So it could be your siblings, or it could be a charity. It's totally up to you. So when there's never a right time. Every time is a good time to make a will, and it essentially affords you greater protection as well. The way we look at things is every time there's a change of events in your lifetime, you should update your will, come back to the solicitors and update your will accordingly.
Okay, so you can change it at any stage of your life. If there's anything anything major or anything that's that would warrant or merit a change of will. Okay, we have another question here. I think this is from Edgardo Cagahastian Enriquez, and he says, "Good evening, Kuya Sani, Attorney DQ, Attorney Shah, watching from Canada Water, London. What can you say about do-it-yourself last will and testament? Some being sold in Amazon, etc. How can it be valid and legal?"
Totally. So, I mean, yes, there are off-the-shelf wills. Totally, they are on the market. And DANNA also specialises in litigation, and she could also shed some light on this as well. I mean, there's several kind of issues that you need to think about. One particular example was a case where we dealt with an individual's mental capacity. It was a off-the-shelf will, and it was off-the-shelf will. And what had happened is the individual didn't actually have prerequisite capacity to make a will, and that will was subsequently overturned because there was no kind of capacity assessment carried out when the individual made the will. But they are readily available. However, if you have got an estate that's if you have got an estate, it's more than, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's more than just a will. You need to factor in estate planning as well. Some people do an off-the-shelf will, but then afterwards they incur 40% tax liability. So we've seen that before. So by going cheap on the will, sometimes you end up paying a larger tax bill. So sometimes going cheap doesn't really work out the way you wish for it to work out, essentially.
Oh, Dana, attorney, you might want to add something because he mentioned that you might want to add on to it. Meron ka bang idadagdag? Oh, sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm just
Yes.
gonna add something to that because I deal with the fallout of those wills. So when it becomes problematic later on, that's when litigators come in. Yung takeaway ng story, yung parang moral story ng exercise na to is if you get proper legal advice from the start, is what Ifty said, you could potentially save a lot of stress, a lot of money, and make sure na yung pinaghirapan yung kayamanan, it will go to people that to loved ones and people that you intended it to go. In terms of, I'm just gonna go back. The last question kay Edgar Duay. Hello, good evening, Edgar.
Okay.
About the sample ng mga instances of overturning a will and tying it up with the last question, Mr. Enriquez, about homemade will. Recently, the same thing. I was on a case where it was a homemade will. However, hindi nila alam yung formality at that time. And we found out na yung dalawang witness, I'm not sure about video witness, there are a lot of technology changes, but at this particular time, when I was handling the case, stricto sila about witnessing. Kailangan dalawang witness yung present. We found out by due diligence later on, 20 years after the will was made, and we were able to find out na wala pala sa isang lugar yung dalawang witness. That the person took it to one witness and signed it, and took it to a separate witness and then signed it, which will make the will invalid. So little things like technicality na ganon, na you could potentially miss for doing a do-it-your-own will, may cause trouble for your loved ones, problema, stress, pera, tax implications when the time comes. So what we would say is if you want to earn the side of caution, parte ng ipapamana mo is peace of mind. And you could do that by ensuring that all is in place. So to tie that up, Rifty, as I was saying to them, is part of your legacy is actually peace of mind of your loved ones. And yun yung binabayaran nyo.
Okay. Ifti, you mentioned about estate planning, right? Do you save them money as well in terms of what taxes? Do you give them advice? Are there strategies? What are the ways to save money on helping out people planning their estates?
Yeah, so there's many different types of mechanisms that are in place in order to save individuals inheritance tax, and it all depends on where they are and in terms of what stage they are in life. Just to sort of give you an insight as to what the current threshold is. So the nil rate band currently stands at £325,000 for individuals, which is tax-free. And where individuals are married, their estate benefits from two lots of 325,000, which makes £650,000, which can go tax-free. The government obviously understood that property prices are increasing in 2017, and they introduced an additional rate called the residential nil rate band, which by 2021 it makes it 175,000 each, which makes a total estate benefiting from £1 million, which is totally tax-free. And then anything that's taxable after that is taxable at 40%. So it is a lot. The government have been quite generous in terms of the tax threshold, but at the same time, we must appreciate that the property prices have run away over the last 10 years. So in certain instances, it's not easy to buy the properties that you are buying. You can see yourself being put quite close to the inheritance tax threshold. That's where it's important to look at certain mechanisms in place and start thinking about where you are in life and how you should distribute your estate. And it can be to the point of where you start actually thinking about gifting your estate right now in life, essentially. So if you've got children that are over the age of 18, it may be things that you may wish to consider, or you may wish to put things in trust. That's another option. So there are several options that you can think about. Food for thought, and it's never a case that you must do it now. It's more about, as life progresses, what kind of things I can do for my next investment, what I should think about, and how I should go about doing things. So there's a whole series of options, and uh, like I say, you can mitigate your inheritance tax liability whilst you're alive, and that's the most important thing. It's more than just a will; it's all about estate planning. And with the will, we do the estate planning with you, and all too often, not very many people actually think about how much uh, their estate is worth. It's only when they actually sit down and have a look at everything as a holistic approach, then they can see that, oh, okay, I actually need to do something right now whilst I'm alive, rather than leaving it to chances and paying a hefty tax bill afterwards.
Oh, Ed, what's his name? Okay. What's his name? He wants to thank us. Thank you for being.
No,
It's
thank you.
very informative. Yes, thank you, Attorney Dana and Attorney Shah, for the answers. Very informative. That's Edgar Cagastian. Okay. Ranjit Somel says, Dana, I will email you. Not sure if you remember last time we talked.
Yeah, I
What,
did.
what
Yeah.
was the message? Okay, let me just read out the message. Okay, and right. Uh, Ifty. Okay, Dana, I will email you. Not sure if I remember last time we talked. If Ifty, we might have spoken to Ranjit Ifty. Will is important, but it tends to be left until either to the 11th hour or never gets done. So the question is, what is the default state? How the state is divided if no will is made?
Yeah. So essentially, what happens is that it's left the intestacy rules fall into place. So it's divided according to intestacy rules. So essentially, if uh, if, for example, you are married, then it will just pass over to your surviving spouse. And then if it's where you have siblings, for example, it may pass over to your siblings. So there's a whole series, and we will be doing a few posts about that in this coming week, funnily enough, as to how your estate is distributed if you didn't leave a will. So it's very, very important that you make a will and it actually goes to the relevant people that you actually wish for it to go to. Sometimes what happens is that where people haven't left a will and they haven't got any immediate family members, and there's no way of tracing these family members. The estate is shelved with the crown, so it's not actually distributed, and it's just left until somebody actually does some digging and actually appoints the necessary uh, people to make a family tree. So it's very, very important that a will is made. By leaving it to default chances, it will go to people that you don't actually wish for them to actually inherit your will.
Okay, Attorney De Guzman, Attorney Sharon De Guzman Ferreira. Hi, Sharon. No, thank you for the good advice, Attorney Shah and Attorney Dana. I've got a question, Nifty. Question is, okay, there's there's this bank called Banco de Oro, in the Philippines. They've got a branch here, and we've got this. They've got this offer for Filipinos overseas. Okay, they call it a Kabayan savings account. Okay, there's a
Okay.
minimum. Okay, if you're able to maintain a balance of 25,000, I think probably every
Yeah.
month.
Right.
You qualify for I think insurance, life and accident worth 1 million
Okay.
pesos.
Yeah.
Can I include that in a will? For example, I created a will, you know,
Yeah. So
where
is
it might be dependent on, for example, I might not be able to maintain the 25 later on. It changes, but say for example, I can maintain it. The 25,000 pesos, money that's parked there as a maintaining balance, and I am entitled to this 1 million accident and life insurance. Can I include it in the will?
Of course, you can. You can certainly include it in the will. That's entirely uh, that's entirely fine for you to do that. I'll, like, if it is to go into trust, normally what happens is the company will reach out themselves. So, for example, life insurance policies, pension providers, they tend to actually give you a form to nominate people, and you could do it whilst you're alive. And what happens is that once you've made that nomination, that will bypass your estate, so it won't actually come through your estate. It will actually go through to the individuals that you wish to benefit. So if it's £1 million that's in trust, that could actually go directly to the beneficiaries directly, rather than actually going through your estate.
Okay. All right. So ayan, malinaw ho yan, no? Okay. Well, siguro magpasalamat na tayo kay attorney. Should we thank attorney Ify? Ify, baka may mga questions pa kayo, no? Pero okay na yata. It's quite clear, no?
Yeah.
We can probably have you again if there are more questions. Ify, can we have you again?
Of course, I'm more than happy to join. I'm more than
because
happy to
this
join.
is yes, exactly. Because we're trying to educate our fellow, not only the Filipinos, but we have some non-Filipinos watching as well, and so this serves
Yeah.
as a public service to our kababayans, to our viewers.
well-
So we'll have you again, huh? For any future questions. If Attorney Dana is stuck, that we can have you.
Yeah, call a friend.
Call a friend, phone a friend, exactly. So, is there anything more you'd like to add that perhaps you forgot to yes.
I mean, a topic that's of interest is currently that I'm having a lot of inquiries about is wills and cryptocurrency. Many people are asking me. We're going towards a cashless kind of society. We're using Apple Pay, Android Pay. We're moving away from cash. A lot of people are investing in things like bitcoins. Can I include those in my wills? And the answer is yes, entirely. That is not a problem. The only and it's very, very, very important. I have to stress that you actually include it in your will, because the only thing is that that password is only with the individual that's made the will, or if they have made a will. Without that password, the investments such as Bitcoin and any other kind of investment that's made can become dormant, and no one will ever know that the individual had that money or investment in place. So it's something to consider for most people, really. I think it's a lot of. I'm not too sure how it is in the Philippines, but certain countries are accepting this form of payment. Certain countries are not. But it's not to say that everyone still has this form of investment. And if it's regulated in the time to come, that would be fantastic. But at this moment in time, it's very, very important that you actually document on the back page of your will what the actual passwords are and the pins are, in order for the executors to actually access the monies.
All right. So there. Okay. So you are actually doing this as a safeguard towards, because if you haven't got the pins, you haven't got all those passwords, it's useless, right?
Totally.
And things are changing. Things are evolving. Wills now, like for example, you were mentioning cryptocurrency like bitcoins. So these are now things that are realities in this age and time.
Totally. Right? We're in a fast-moving society, and it's important that we keep up. And this is just one of many things that we look to do in order to keep up with what's going on with current technology and current trends.
Right. Wow. Thank you very much. Ifty, maraming salamat. Thank you very much for your the information that you've given us, very priceless.
It is a
People are
pleasure.
thanking you. Thank you for the good advice, Attorney Shah and Attorney Dana. Maraming salamat. You take care. Ingat. It means take care. So,
Yeah.
Dana, Attorney, baka may gusto kang sabihin, dagdag sa kanya bago tayo na mag-uusap.
Yeah, that's thank you, Ifty. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat. That's how we say thank you. Not only is he very informative and very competent solicitor, mukha pa siyang Bollywood actor.
Yes, yes, brains, no, and good looks. Yes, a combination of good looks. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
Have you-
we always see at the
All right.
office that he's got the hair.
Have you done some modeling before, Ifty? Like, for
No,
example,
I
were
haven't.
you approached at one time while in the mall, or or has somebody asked you to do anything showbiz or commercial or in nature?
I'm sending all inquiries to my colleague Dana. She's booking the diary as we speak.
So booking what? The diary? You look like, di ba mukha siyang Bollywood actor? It's really true. He looks like a Bollywood actor. Right? Yes, he does. So he's blessed with good looks and and brains, no. So maraming salamat. Thank you very much, Ifti, and looking forward to having you again on the program again in the future. Salamat. Thank you very much. Ayan.
Tomorrow.
Yes. Oh. Napakahusay. We learned a lot of things from Ifti attorney, ha. Marami tayong natutunan. Oo.
Yeah, yun ang natin is hindi lang kasi ako limited lang din naman yung ko, kumbaga andun ako, iba yung specialization ko. So we intend to bring resource speakers, mga kaibigan, klase, colleagues para ma-empower pa with information yung mga kababayan natin. And this is, as we said, this is very, very hot topic at the moment. It's always a hot topic anyway. Ang inaano mo is sana mapamanahan mo ng peace of mind yung susunod na henerasyon, so they don't have to worry kung ano yung mangyayari sa after you pass away and anong mangyayari dun sa will na iniwan mo. So
It's best.
That's really
It's best na kala ko parang binabanggit mo yung kanina kasi yung DIY, no? It's really best to have it properly prepared by a lawyer, a solicitor, rather than having this, how do you call that, off the shelf or yung mga DIY template na mga wills, no? Ang danger nun, di ba? Yun nga, baka magkamali. Bigla kang, you might be slapped with a bigger bill or whatever, di ba?
Exactly.
Oo, dahil
Exactly. You have to instruct, yung pamilya mo would have to instruct a litigator like me to help solve the dispute, and that means for legal costs and dispute pa within the family. So not just yung pera, but yung aggravation and yung mga debate na pwedeng maging resulta ng isang will na potentially questionable. That's something to think about, and that's the reason why we say prevention is better than cure nga, diba? So if you deal with that properly from the start, then maiiwasan yung mga problematic situation later on.
Ayun. Oo. Okay. May bumabati sa atin bumabati sa iyo si Marie Fairbank. Oh, sabi ni Marie Fairbank, good evening, Sunny Laragan and Dana. Ayan. Binabati ka. Good evening, Sunny Laragan and Dana. Oo. Ayan.
Good evening. Magandang gabi po.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ayan. Ito. Bumabati na naman sa atin. Si Nidia Creek bumabati sa iyo, no? Marami ka ng, siguro kung may Barrio Fiesta at nakita ka nila, attorney, no? Matutuwa sila dahil maraming magpapapicture sa iyo. Sabihin nila, no? Kung si Ifti, mukhang Bollywood actor, ikaw naman para kang si Janice de Belen siguro, no? Would we say na parang ganon, di ba? Parang ganon di ba? Parang ganon kaganda, ganon din ang beauty, young. No, I'm talking of the Janice de Belen Teka muna, I think she has a younger sister. Yun na yata ang ibig ko sabihin, sino yung younger sister na asawa ng singer? Si Ariel Rivera. Ariel Rivera nga ba yun? May sister si Janice de Belen, di ba? Yung another de Belen. Sino yung de Belen? Who's married to Ariel Rivera, yung singer?
Google ba natin?
Oo. Sino yung younger sister ni ano?
ako,
Oo.
I
Edgar,
would
sino yung younger sister niya, no? Ni Janice de Belen. At alam ko si Edgar, mabilis to sa ganyan eh.
si
Uh,
Edgar.
oo.
Edgar, comment na.
Sabi niya, thank you attorneys daw kanina. So dalawa, plural na attorneys. No, thank you
Si
very much.
Jelly di ba?
Jelly de Belen, yan, the younger sister, ni Janice de Belen, nakita ko kasi because when I worked at Channel 5, meron siyang kontrata na because I was working at the news department and when she signed a contract, ako ang inassign na gumawa ng storya. So,
Yeah.
pumirma siya together with the president then or the chairman si Andrew Tan yata yung pangalan nun. But yes, do you consult each other or from for example kung may problema let's say do sa wills and probate, hindi ko na itanong no ano may difference ba yung wills and probate, no, kasi he mentioned about estate planning. Ang wills shall we say estate planning din o hindi, merong mas encompassing yung yung estate planning?
I think estate planning, ito, he'll probably best to do the differentiation. But from my understanding, estate planning is about more on looking at the tax implication, kung paano mong gagawin. It's quite broad. Hindi lang about sa huling, yung last will and testament mo. Last will and testament is yun yung papel na dokumento na i-draft ng isang abogado kung sino magmamana. So that's wills. Probate is yung proseso ng pag-distribute. That's the whole part. The probate process is the process of executing the will. Yung may dokumento ka, and then you go to the next process of getting a grant of probate na bibigyan na ng blessing ng korte yung will na yon for it to go ahead at ma-distribute na yung assets. Estate planning has a bit of element before pa mangyari itong mga to. Estate planning could be just sitting down with your financial advisor and with your lawyer saying, ang laki na, you have a big portfolio ng investment property. Tapos sasabihin mo, paano ko, how could I lawfully, hindi naman tax evasion to, tax planning to, ano yung maayos na ways para maka-minimize tayo ng tax in a very lawful manner. So not necessarily writing a will, not necessarily may probate, walang namatay, more on financial planning, more on with a view na paano natin lawfully minimize yung inheritance tax. So those are the three elements. Iba-iba yung iba-iba yung timeline niya sa buhay mo. So estate planning could begin as now. Yung will mo, nagawa mo na, but equally, minamanage mo kung paano yung pag-run mo ng portfolio mo with a view of minimizing your inheritance tax.
Yang ganyang paggawa ng mga will, no, sikreto lang yan, no? Or sinasabi ba ng mismong gusto magbigay, hoy, bibigyan kita ng sinama kita sa will? In most cases ba, hindi sinasabi nung gagawa ng will?
A bit of both. May mga instances, depende siguro sa preference nila, na may iba na discreet, hindi masyado hindi open sa kung anong ano yung nakalagay sa will nila. May iba naman talaga na sasabihin talaga, oy, etong na to sa'yo to, bahay na to sa'yo to. Very very important. Meron kaming legal principle dito. We call it promissory estoppel. We're just talking about it dun sa case ko today, a probate case. Na kapag sinabi mo out loud verbally na sa'yo tong negosyo na to, work very hard for it. At yung taong yan, naniwala, kasi kapani-paniwala naman, at nag-give up, we call it reliance, naniwala, sinunod niya yung sabi mo, dito ka lang wag kang aalis sa business na to, sa'yo to, don't worry about it. And give up niya yung potential career niya, that's called the detriment. Pwede siyang sa susunod magsabi, hindi mo binigay yung negosyo na yan. So that's the potential challenge na may promissory estoppel. Isa pa yung legal principle. And maybe that's the reason why a lot of people would like to keep it in secret. Now, wag mo nang sabihan, just in case magbago yung isip mo, hindi ka makakreate ng expectation. that could be problematic later. So the best scenario is kung talagang sure ka na hindi mo i-change, by all means, pwede mong sabihan, you're at the end of your matanda ka na, alam mong hindi na mag-change yung sitwasyon, pwede mong sabihin so that klaro yung intention mo. If, however, bata ka pa, and sa tingin mo marami pang metamorphosis yung will mo, I'd say keep it to yourself. Para hindi ka ma-fall into that problem na may sinabi ka, tapos nag-rely yung isang tao, and then there was a detriment, and that could potentially be problematic later on.
Okay. May comment si Ranjit, nagpahabol ng message. Oo, sabi niya, salamat po for the answers. Marunong ba na Tagalog to si Ranjit? Very good. See you all tomorrow. I will email Dana this week, I promise. I just got too busy with things. Thanks, Sunny. Oh, thank you. You're most welcome, no? I also mentioned Mia. Si Mia nga pala. Mia yung ating singer-composer na diyan sa may Northern Ireland, Belfast yata, no? Yung anak ni Rudy. Ayan. I also would like to mention Mia and the campaign for her. Mabuhay, ha? Tulungan natin ho.
Yeah.
Oo. Teka muna, ito. Paano to? May tanong dito. Wala na si, Mr. Bollywood actor. Bollywood, no? Ayan. Attorney DANNA, when someone has a bank account who died, the bank will be looking for the probate docs? Documents?
I think I can provide a generic answer for that one. May ibang bank na up to a certain sum, hindi na nila kailangan ng probate documents. And after, may maximum, halimbawa hindi ganun kalaki. This is my understanding from my experience. May cap yung mga bank at kailangan lang ng death certificate, I think. And above a certain amount, they would like you to deal with it properly, or not properly, but more comprehensive yung documents nila. It'll be bank to bank. So the best answer for you, Edgardo, is ask your bank kung ano yung maximum nila with regard to yung sum of money which will require probate documents.
Ayun. Oo. Well, nakakatuwa naman at itong mga tanong-tanong natin, no? It's
very practical nakakatuwang nag-engage yung community natin, and sana magka-barrio fiesta ulit, baka mag-booth tayo doon.
May booth tayo doon every year, sayang lang, no? Every year for the past 10 years, sabihin na natin, may booth ang Pinoy Radio UK, no? Kasi partners natin ng ABS-CBN, so we enjoy that. Libre yun. That's 2,000 pesos yun, ha? Pesos, sorry. 2,000 pounds. Ang isang booth, 2 meters by 2 meters. Pero siyempre, dahil partner tayo ng ABS-CBN, ng TFC, wala tayong doon. Sarili natin yun. Lagi tayong malapit sa stage, no? Na nilalagay. Minsan nga, parang tinatamad na kami magbukas ng booth kasi nga, mukuya-kuya lang tayo, mupupo lang tayo ron. But yes, sana we look forward to yung everything goes back to normal, di ba? Dahil
and we can do a legal advice corner there na
yes,
live. Para makatulong tayo ng face-to-face naman. Tapos ma-meet natin yung mga nagko-comment.
Yes.
Hindi lang sa online, face-to-face. That would be very, very.
Matutuwa sila pag nakita ka in person, no? Nakakatuwang makita ka. It's nice to see these people, ha? When sa ating station, no, nakakatuwa from different parts of the UK, pag may barrio fiesta, malapit sa atin, tapos sinasabi, nakikinig ko kami sa inyo. Nagugulat ka eh. And nakakatuwa. Okay. Ano ba itong sinabi ni at nagpapasalamat sa iyo si Edgardo Cagastian. Sabi niya, thank you. Ano ba yan? Sabi niya, thank you, Attorney DANNA. Very helpful. Ayun.
You're very much welcome.
Oo nga, oo. Ito ho, legal advice corner natin kay Attorney, no? Kaya samantalahin ho ninyo, no? At kung kailangan din naman ninyo ng legal advice na talagang tunay para maayos, syempre, wala nang kayo dapat puntahan kundi yung Deo Volente Solicitors. May bagong logo ang Deo Volente ngayon, no?
Yes.
Bakit nagbago? What made this itong ating change of logo? Anong naging dahilan yan, Attorney?
Naman, re-energize yung branding namin. Same ang tagline nga namin same heart, new face at yours legally. So it's just bagong new norm. So new logo, website as well will be updated very soon. And we hope to, we talk about kanina, yung iba-ibang trending po ngayon, iba-ibang ngayon we're talking about legal technology. Very hot topic is
Legal technology, attorney?
legal technology. So meron kaming meron kaming mga projects to enable us to serve our clientele better sa bagong new normal. Hindi mo masyado makita yung solicitor mo, baka natatakot ka pa lumabas. So we're thinking about those things. We're thinking about delivering our product, yung serbisyo namin sa clients namin in
Okay, nakikita ko yung photo mo. Sorry baka nadi-distract ka. Okay lang.
lang po.
Sino to? Ikaw tong nasa kaliwa. Sorry, tuloy mo lang yung tapusin mo lang yung sinasabi mo. Sige.
Yeah. So what we're saying is that we're just having a little bit of a refresh, re-energization sa new normal, so that we're looking at everything technology-wise para mas maserbisyohan ng mas mabilis, mas efficient, at ma-maintain yung quality in a much more sustainable manner.
Okay. Well, like communication via probably Zoom or Skype, ganyan, no?
Yeah, marami
pa mga technology. Okay.
Ngayon.
It's a different. So all of everybody yata, all businesses now are conducting things differently, adapting to the new normal, no? Of course, dito buti nga rito pumapasok yung mga kabataan, pero sa Pilipinas nasa hindi ba yata nagsisimula yung high school yata sa October something pa eh. Pero yung mga elementary yata pumapasok na by August, no? Homeschooling na, oo.
Ngayon nata first day back narinig ko sa mga workmates ko. First day back po ata ng mga bata ngayon.
Dito sa UK. Pero sa Pilipinas iba no? Ayan, mapunta lang tayo. Ito ang inyong mga senior partners sa attorney, no? When they go and visit siyempre, andyan yung mga detalye ng mga telepono, saka pwedeng tawagan, ito ang pwede kang tawagan, ito ang direct line mo, no? Ayan.
234-225-188. Direct line po yan, and hindi na kayo dadaan sa reception, and email as well, like Ranjit ba yun, yung kaibigan nating kanina.
Si Ranjit, yes. Si Ranjit.
Ranjit, andyan yung email. So yes, by all means, email us as well, and we're happy to help. We're very much happy to help. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to help the community. So do get in touch. Do take advantage sa offer ng free consultation dahil as we all said, we're in the same boat, in the same community. So yes.
Pero sino ba kausap ko ng isang araw? Sabi niya, ang bata-bata naman ang abogado nyo, parang nasa high school lang, ganun. Sabi ko, di ba napagkamala ka ba yata, di ba? Bibili ka ba na, kinukunan ka pa na ID o chinecheck pa? Ano yun napag-usapan natin one time?
Disposable knives, tsaka sa pharmacy po, yun ang nakakatakot kasi akala ko di bigay yung asthma medication ko. Tinanong ako, date of birth mo. Sabi ko, 32.
Sige. Pero hindi makapaniwala, attorney, mukha kang bata, no?
Nag 5 seconds na talagang parang naka-quote ako, hindi naman ako naka-suit, naka-quote po ako. So hindi nakita. Sabi niya, is this for you? Sabi ko, yeah, it's for me. Sabi niya, how old are you? Sabi ko, 32. Sabi niya, I thought you were school girl.
Hindi, totoo nga. Well, at least you're blessed with that, no? Young looks.
Yung yung gamot ko.
Oo. Wow. So you've had...
I compliment. So,
oo nga. But you've had those, you've had those experiences, no? Na napapagkamalang ka o pinacheck ba kung meron ka pang kung qualified ka o nasa right age ka, no? Siguro, no? Sa pagbili.
Sa grocery, parate. So, hinahanda ko na rin kapag I find it as a compliment nowadays. So,
okay. You look kasi very young, attorney, no? Okay, Kathleen De Gracia, ano yung pangalan niya? Nakikita mo na, babasa mo ba yan? Sabi niya, good evening, Sir Sunny and Attorney Dana watching from PH this time. Bakit? Nandito ba siya dati sa UK? Hi Kathleen, no? De Gracia. Siguro from baka before baka naipit siya sa Pilipinas na hindi nakapunta rito. Okay, mabuhay. Mabuhay ka, no? Alright. Merong isang message dito. Ito yung isang siguro fan mo sa Spain, no? Si RG Benodin. Hello po sa Beauty and Brains, Attorney Dana Quinto, and good evening Kuya Sunny. We're watching here from Malaga, Spain. Ayan.
Love it. RG, sa susunod na mapunta ako sa Malaga, kita tayo. When I go back next sa El Choro, dadaan ako Malaga, kita tayo.
Napunta ka na ba ng Malaga? Ang El Choro, ano ba El Choro? Ano yan?
1 hour po from Malaga, doon po ako namumundok.
Para ka pala si Edgar Duway, namumundok din, no? Dahil si Edgar, every time na mag-birthday siya, namumundok. No? Okay.
So, Malaga yung, doon ka magla-landing from Luton Airport. So, you go to Malaga first before you go up to the mountains. Malapit sa Sierra Nevada, I think you've been.
Yes, I've been to Sierra Nevada for the mga skiing, di ba, nag-skiing.
Yeah.
Gusto ko nga mag-aral. Alam mo sabi ko mag-aral kaya ako ng skiing. Dahil, mo sa Spain, rather than going to Switzerland or mga French Alps o kung saan yan, dyan sa Spain, pwede ka na hindi lang siguro kasing kapal ng snow ng dyan sa Alps, no? Marunong ka ba
Marunong po kayo mag-Spanish?
Hindi. Bakit? Marunong ka ba? Parang hinahamon mo ako.
Como esta lang, tsaka cerveza.
Ako West na lang. Okay. Akala ko gusto mo ko hamunin. Bugla mo ko tinanong. Napatigil ako eh. But Spanish is a lovely language and I said, I vowed to, before I leave this earth, kailangan marunong ako ng Spanish. Kasi it's nice, di ba? We grew up in the Philippines and a lot of words are actually Spanish na medyo Tagalize na o na versionized na sa Tagalog.
Nakakatawa kasi parang mukhang Pilipino, parang sounds like Tagalog yung Pag andun ka sa Spanya, feeling ko parang lang ng Pilipinas eh. But yeah, very 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 good sa Malaga and yung mga Sierra Nevada.
Yung sweetheart is Cariño. Cariño. Okay, sweetheart yun.
Yeah, como esta,
hindi ko na alam yan. Como esta.
Yeah, muchas gracias, RG.
Buti ginagamit mo yan. Yung Spanish mo is the Spanish of Spain, di ba? Because yung mga Mexicans, gracias eh. Pero doon, gracia, parang ganun, di ba? Oo. Yung word na querida, have you heard of the word querida?
Darling, I think that's
yes,
darling.
Dear or darling dear. Pero sa Pilipinas kasi it has a different meaning. Pag sinabi, querida ko yan, querida niya, may querida yan, di ba? Parang may mistress. Pero pala sa Spanish, querida means dear or yung sabi mo, darling, no? Cariño is sweetheart. Ayan.
Nakakatawa.
Nakakatuwa yan. Okay, may pagbati lang dito. Anin ko lang ating ayan. Ano ba 'to? Attorney. Maraming advantages pala, attorney, marami ka pala advantages, no? If Attorney Dana will be riding a provincial bus in the Philippines, she may be offered student discount. Wow, naman. Oo. So things that mga benefits, no, na mga plus ng looking young sa mundong ito, no?
Sa airport po, tinanong ako kung over 16 ako sa Spain, talking about Spain. Tinanong ako, kasi hinanap ko yung naalala mo yung may machine readable na. So,
ipapasok mo ganun. Meron na sila.
Hinanap ko na sa Spain ako. Tapos, sabi sa akin, Espanyol na airport crew or airport staff. Sabi ko, where's the reader? And she looked at me and she was like, Are you over 16? Natawa ako. Tapos, pinakita ko na wala sa oras yung pasaporte.
Pasaporte mo.
Tapos, natawa.
Pero you look very young talaga. Diyan kami natutuwa. Actually, yan din ang parang fascination ng tao sa iyo, ng mga nanonood sa atin. Sabi, bata-bata na abogado na yon. napaka, diba, napaka very magsalita at diba, emphatic. Tapos very very young, no? So parang which is good naman, no? Nakakatuwa naman at
I really find it as a
kasi when you talk naman, Dana, attorney, when you talk naman talagang very nakikita mo napaka-smart and she knows what she's talking about. At nakakatuwa lang. Kaya lang, kasi medyo nakaka-deceive lang itsura mo kasi because you look very young and authoritative do sa sa iyong pananalita. Tek, ito,
it was a bit confusing.
pakita ko lang, ito, promoted ka na, di ba? Ikaw na ay partner ngayon, no? Ayan, ito, partner ka na rito, attorney, di ba? Oo. So, pinagmamalaki natin si attorney na, ayan, ito yung mga senior partners. Ayan. Ayun.
And colleagues, yes.
Ayan, o. O, kita mo rin, pati, maski ikaw, parang kasama mo sila, parang, ikaw, parang sila, puro mga adults na, ikaw, parang, nagbo-border ka pa sa teen, no? O, imagine mo yan, no? Attorney DANNA QUINTO, no? Asan si Wala si dyan, Hindi kasama si, si Ifty?
Hindi, head pa lang, kaka-join lang po niya sa amin, I think earlier this year. But andun po siya, Iftikar siya, there we are.
Asan siya?
Iftikar po yung community.
Ito siya, parang artista nga, no? Ngayon, may bigote kasi,
Talagang tinitis po yan sa office. He's gonna kill me tomorrow.
Pero ano mga specialty? So what do you handle? What does DV solicitor, what are the areas of expertise of DV solicitors? So lahat nasa inyo.
Yeah, we're a full service firm, all areas. So I do family and litigation. Iftikar, he does wills and probate and estate planning. Tukir, you saw Tukir, he does conveyancing. He's the head of conveyancing. Shazia, so Shazia is the other partner. She does immigration as well as Islamic services. So we're a full service firm. We have the main areas covered mostly. So.
Pero wala kayong mga criminal something? Wala kayong criminal?
Yeah, that's something that we did try. It's just I think anywhere at the moment it's kumbaga very niche siya na area of law. A lot of full service firms either hindi na kumukuha ng criminal, they set up specially on their own yung criminal firms. So that's something na tinry and sometimes it just hindi lang din sa landscape ng market ngayon. So even my previous firm hindi rin kami we didn't deal with criminal law.
So lahat conveyancing, you handle everything conveyancing. So kung may gusto mag-divorce, pwede nyo ring magbigay ng advice, alalayan. Okay? Lahat, lahat, bumili ng bahay, sa inyo pa rin yan, pwede, no? At yun, gusto nyo maggumawa ng will, pwede yan, estate planning, no? Pwedeng wills and probates. Yung kaninang nakausap natin, si Ifty.
Ifty, yes. It's a full service firm, so kung ano man yung kailangan yung
immigration, kasama rin,
and immigration is what ano man yung kailangan nyo legally, we're able to provide it. Yes.
Ayan.
Hello, Rudy.
Good evening, Sir Sunny, and lovely, happy. Ang dami mo palang adjectives. Lovely, happy ka na. Attorney DANNA. All kababayans, a very good public service information show. No? This is thanks also to Mr. Branjit for supporting Mia at Teen Star UK. Mabuhay po. Supportahan ho natin si Mia, no? At kasama natin yan.
Supportahan natin si Mia.
Sabi ni Angie Bernodin, muchas gracias po. Muchas gracias po. Eres hermosa po, Attorney DANNA. Hermosa, no? Silent H sila sa Spain yata.
Hermosa.
Hindi hermosa, hermosa. I think so, Hindi ko lang, I think Silent H sila ron, no? Si Edgar Duay, sabi ni Edgar, si attorney parang pinabili lang ng asukal sa tindahan ni Aling Nena, laughing out loud. Batang-bata siya sa mga larawan nila. Ano yan? Laughing out. Hindi na pumasok dito kay nakikita natin si because you look very young, attorney, no?
Parang Pilipinas, sinasabi, parang pinabili ka nila ng suka sa UP. Tapos pinipili.
Sa lahat naman ng pinibili na suka at asukal nito, ito naman ang napakahusay at napakatalino naman. No? Imagine niyo yan. At nakakatulong ko. So, pag may mga problema kayo, email lang ho kayo. Asa ba email ni attorney? No? O tawag din kayo. No? Wag lang ho kayo mag-phone pal dahil siyempre busy yan. No? Unless...
Hindi naman kami nag-aano, halimbawa, hindi nyo na or mag-email kayo, sabihin nyo sa akin yung, lagay nyo sa email nyo, best time to call you pag day off. Wala pong problema doon. Kami mag-a-adjust. Walang problema doon.
Ayan. Kita nyo. Nalaman nyo kay attorney. So, ayan. d.quinto at dvsolicitors.com. Ang direct line mo, attorney, is 01234-225-188. Maganda ang pagkakagawa ng number mo kasi 188-225, no? Tapos 01234, no? 01234. Bakit hindi ginawa 567890?
Tatanong ko po kung nasan sa website yung ganung pangalan.
Bakit kasi 1234 tas 225? Oo. Okay, well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 8.
Tsaka bawal din naman yan eh. It's not advisable to make passwords na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yung sunod-sunod, no? Ayan.
Correct.
Si Ifty siya. Okay. Ayan. Hindi ka na muna namin tatanungin kung ano pag-uusapan next week dahil yan naman ay pinag-aaralan niya pa, no? Pinag-iisipan natin.
Kung ano pa yung hot topic, we try to align it with current events, kung ano yung kailangan ng community natin, kung ano yung kailangan ng mga kababayan natin. So, yung isang kababayan natin sinabi, we try to provide public service information na practical na magagamit natin.
Pero attorney, maski pwede naman itanong sa'yo, di ba, sa ano, no? Oo.
Opo. Okay lang po. Yeah, I'll try my best. Pag hindi ko alam, what I would say to my clients is that give me 5 minutes or 5 minutes, but give me 24 hours, I'll come back to you.
Ito, may bumabate. Hindi ko alam kung kilala mo to, attorney, no? Si Silva, anyway, mas mabuting pakita na sa'yo, no? Para mabasa mo. Ayan.
Yes, I think
Miss Zak.
Sa London. Kamusta?
Hi, Dana. Kumusta? Pero nagtatagalog, pero ang apelido niya parang Eastern European, no? Miss Zak.
I think parang iba lang yung apelido. Pero kakilala po ng friend, ng mga kaibigan po ng friend ko dati sa London. Yung best friend dati sa London.
Dahil umaakyat ka sa sa may ano pangalan? Postok? Ano sinasabi mo kanina sa Spain? Cholok?
Sa El Choro. El Choro po.
El Choro. Ayan Ayan, attorney, hiking tayo nila Sunny at Amik Garciniego. Ayan.
Ayan po tayo sa bundok, Mr. Laragan.
Sa first natin, pwede ba tayo doon sa Ben Nevis? Kaya ko na ba? Hindi pa. Kaya ko na ba? Kaya ko ba? Okay. Anong lower than Ben Nevis na pwede kong kayanin? Yung tipong mga colinas, alam mo yung colinas, it's a Spanish word for hills, no? Kasi rather than mountains, hills lang, colinas.
Scaffold pipe po, not bad. Malapit kina Amik, tsaka kina, I think, Edgar. Malapit naman sa inyo na.
Wala bang malapit dito? Dito sa may Surrey?
Sa may Surrey.
Kasi diba galing ka sa ka ba galing? Epsom, sa ka ba galing recently? Reading, sa ka ba,
Sussex pala yun. Kung sa Horsham.
Horsham.
Yeah.
Walang malapit na bundok doon? Wala. So okay, sige, kay ano na lang siguro kanila, Amik.
May mga hiking sa Kent area.
Sa Kent. Okay. They call it the Garden of England, di ba? Kent?
Correct, yeah. Correct.
Okay, eto merong good evening Sir Sunny Laragan. Wow, looking very young, Attorney Dana. God bless po. Ayan.
Thank you.
DJ Red. Wow, may wow pa siya. Wow, looking very young. Bakit ngayon lang ho ba kayo nakakita ng bagong batang-batang na very combination ng beauty and brains, no, si Attorney. Bata pa. No, kasi pwede rin kasi beauty and brains, pero medyo yung beauty matanda na, no. Yung mga tipong masyadong adult na. Ayan. Edgar Duway, let's start with Peak District, no?
District. Yeah, Peak District. Not too bad. Sa malapit lang po yan.
How many hours of driving yan from my place? Bedford, malapit lang yan, no? Pero Ilang oras ba ang biyahe niya, no? Ilang oras yan?
Ito na natin. Edgar, ilang oras ba from London?
Ito, meron dito question attorney, no? Attorney, do you have any idea kung magkano magagastos para mag-transfer ang title ng property?
That's conveyancing po.
Conveyancing.
Alas, email niyo po ako. Hindi ko po yun specialty, but it depends kung ano yung transfer. If it's a very straightforward transfer, depende po sa quote. And usually, depende po sa value ng property. I think yun yung ano nila. So, if you email me, I'll ask the property department. I'll ask the conveyancing department.
Ayan, email is, napakadali naman, d.quinto at dvsolicitors.com, no? Kayo, kilala ba kayo as DV Solicitors o kailangan kumpletuhin pang Deo Volente, attorney? Ano
DV po. Kaya rin po kami nag-change ng logo para kita nyo yung DV talaga na representative yung logo namin ng common na tawag sa amin, which is DV Solicitors.
So DV talaga, no? Okay. So DV Solicitors, ayan. Ito, yan. Pero may Deo Volente yan, no? DV Solicitors, ayan.
Deo Volente, yeah.
Deo Volente. Ano ibig sabihin ng Deo Volente? Is it like a Latin word, an Italian word, a Spanish word? Ano yan?
Latin po, Mr. Laragan, it means God willing.
Okay. Meron pang pahabol dito.
Deo Volente means willing.
Okay. Sabi na naman ni DJ Red, attorney, hindi ko alam kung ito'y nahilo sa no? Sabi niya, ngayon lang ako nakakita, yes, Sir Sunny Laragan, ngayon lang ako nakakita na maganda at batang attorney. Ayun. Tapos
Thank you, DJ Red.
hindi ko alam kung bakit sinabi ni Nancy Amores Nicole, straightforward po from the will. Baka yun ang sinasabi niya, yung will kasi last time na sinasabi niya.
Okay, transfer of the property. It's a fairly straightforward. So I'll ask you kung probate transfer po. It should be.
Ayan, straightforward po from the will. Ayan, siguro.
I'll ask po for you. It's not under litigation, but we can still help.
Okay. Ayan, no. Nakakatuwa yan, no? At least nakakapag
sige, tanong. We'll do an open session again next week. Hope Valley Peak, 3 hours, 30 minutes. That's not bad. Yeah.
Nakita mo? Nabasa mo kagad. London to Hope Valley High Peak. 3 hours and, okay. And I will drive to Peak. Ayun. Ano ibig sabihin niya? Siya magdadrive sa atin doon? Lahat tayo nakamask sa kotse ni, Oo.
Tapos doon tayo mag-legal advice corner sa taas ng Jacob
Yeah, we can do that, no? Oo. Sabi ni, may sinabi si Nancy dito, sige po, email ko kayo, salamat po. Ayan.
Sige po, email ko kayo.
Ito yung email, no? Ito yung email, may email ni attorney. Para ma-email ninyo at ayan, para malinaw. Ayun.
D.Quinto
at
d.quinto.com.
Si Ludwig.
Sige po kayo, Miss Nancy, and we'll
Ludwig.
revert back.
Grabe ang bata nung ating attorney, no? Sabi niya. Well, okay.
Thank you.
Paano yan, attorney? When you're sat side by side with some solicitors, halimbawa, paano yun? Parang you stand out, no? Parang they think na meron silang kasamang student, gano'n?
Kasama siya. I think, ano naman sa, I'm quite, siguro with our work, mas nag-uumpisa namin nakikita yung letters namin. So, they know na, alam mo naman, you know what you're doing. So, by that time, na nag-face-to-face kayo with mediation or with court hearing, siguro yes, mayroon pa rin mga siguro nagugulat, but hopefully with the substance ng sinasabi mo is hindi sila ganun kagulat na looking young does not necessarily mean not knowing your stuff. So nakakataba po ng puso, and maayos naman yung experience ko with in the legal industry, na hindi ko naman na-feel na in-underestimate ako, or ano. Siguro may mga first impression that I don't know. I don't know, but
Actually, mas maganda nga yan. Parang element of surprise nga yan, attorney eh. Hindi nila akalain, di ba? Hindi nila akalain, no? Oo.
I think one client said na
Oo.
na ata with how sometimes sa ano namin, sa work namin, you have to write very strong letters. You have to write very you have to give very strong legal submissions sometimes, and lumalabas yung pagka-litigator mo, lumalabas yung pagka-pitbull mo minsan, in a professional way, in a very professional. Yung pagka-robust, yung sabi mo, empathic. That comes out sometimes at work, and then I think sometimes, yes, client do feel pleasantly surprised naman yung huling client ko, so nakakatawa.
Attorney, okay, may immigration question, pero siguro pwede mo rin tanongin, although sa Huwebes ang immigration, DJ Red. Sabi niya, Attorney Dana, ano po ba ang unang steps ko para makuha ko ang anak ko? Ano po ang visa makuha ko para sa kanya? 25 years old na po siya. Visitor's visa yan.
Visitor's visa po, hindi po yan dependent. So that would be a visitor's visa, and may certain requirements. Ang visitor's visa, on the top of my head, I think yung ties niya with the home country, social, economic, and familial ties niya doon. Kasi the same pag visitor is they have to, on the balance of probability, na babalik yung applicant sa home country niya. Yun yung test nila. So you'd have to look at yung checklist nila. That's the best thing that you do, and follow the checklist and apply kung ready na, para wag mag-apply pag hindi pa kompleto yung requirements, because sayang, you don't want a rejection on your visa history, as we all know. Kasi kahit ako din, dumaan din ako as an immigrant, and that's the reason why, kahit hindi ako immigration lawyer, I know a little bit about immigration.
May ano lang dito, may parang comment lang, no, si Nancy Nicole. Well, ako I call you attorney dahil sa atin sa Pilipinas, 'di ba? Abogado, solicitor. Ang solicitor, 'di ba? Abogado?
Abogado po, yes.
Oo,
yes.
Kaya tayo sanay tayo. Amerikano siguro at Filipino attorney. Alang naman tawagin ka namin solicitor, 'di ba? Ganun.
No, it's more of
attorney Dana. Hindi, may nag-comment lang si Nancy Nicole kasi rito. Sabi ni Nancy, ang sabi ni Nancy, ang sabi niya, sa isang Filipino forum, merong male solicitor na British. And he was offended noong nagbigay ako ng advice na ibigay na pala niya on the upper thread. So I said, sorry po. Sorry, you should put attorney on your name. Nainis siya kasi pang-American lang daw yung paggamit ng attorney. Ha. Parang comment lang naman to.
I'm not offended. I feel na nasa home country ko ako when attorney is a noun anyway for anyone who practices law.
Pero sinasabi niya yung male guy daw, British na offend daw.
No, I think yung they're particular about semantics here, yung interchange ng use ng American and UK, so maybe that's the reason why
Pero attorney, total nag-uusap tayong dalawa, no? Solicitor kayo. Merong iba pa yung nagdi-defend sa korte, yung ano ba pangalan nun? Barrister. Ikaw ba nasa isip mo mag-barrister din?
I can appear. I have appeared in court. Iba lang yung I have appeared in court to do yung advocacy. I think it's more of kung ano yung work mo and saan kang level sa career mo. So I can if I want to, but a lot of my work we try not to get to trial. So ang specialization ko is settling and negotiations. So I really enjoy that bit. Minsan I would give it to an older solicitor. Nagme-merge na po yung solicitor and barrister. Both can appear at certain level ng areas ng court. It's not necessarily one is better than the other. Iba lang yung skill set namin, iba lang yung specialization. but we probably both have the same background and the same legal training. And it depends how you want your career to work. For me, I like dealing with cases na with a view na hindi siya aabot sa trial. So if necessarily you should be prepared to go to trial. But there's a heavy encouragement from the court na mag-settle ka. So my career has always been as a litigator. I'm a litigator, so I deal with disputes, court disputes. So it's all about court proceedings or likely to be court proceedings. I deal with that. I deal with barristers, barristers and specialist solicitors all the time. So it's just a matter of kung ano yung specialization mo. I would probably, yung previous boss ko, he was a solicitor and he managed to, parang nag-ano lang siya, like extra training for 10 days, just to appear at Court of Appeal. But even as a solicitor, he's generally, yung specialization niya at that career niya, that time of his career, was even as a solicitor, was to appear in cases, family cases all the time at court and settling. So it depends sa kung saan po yung ano nyo, yung specialization nyo and where you're at in your career. But pretty much it's an nagme-merge na yung dalawang specialization, and it's likely in due course na there's no, like I think in the States and in Canada, mas nag-ano na, pareho na lang.
Yes. Well, I'd like to enjoin yung mga viewers na take advantage nito. At least kasama ho natin si Attorney DANNA, no? At nakaka-relate tayo dahil Pilipino, no? Mas madaling minsan kasi hindi naman tayo sanay nag-i-English, no? Meron tayong mga kliyente na, 'di ba? Hindi naman ganoon ka-fluent sa English na mas makakatulong ito, no? Na meron kayong abogadong Pilipino, 'di ba? Mas makakatulong sa inyo.
Minsan po, nilalagay natin sa Filipino context. So, yung advice ko minsan, when I apply it sa Filipino clients, I'd make a metaphor kung ano yung sa atin, or mas maintindihan mo yung kultura, mas maintindihan mo kung bakit yung kliyente mo, ganito yung objective. Alam mo kung paano, kung ano yung pinagdadaanan niya in a cultural context. So, yun yung advantage of na kababayan yung nag-a-advise sa inyo. In the same way para sa akin, if I'm advising a Filipino as well, I feel na mas okay, I can see where you're coming from kasi pareho tayo ng pinagdaanan. Pareho tayo ng we grew up with the same values. We grew up at this problem. Ganito yung tingin natin sa problema na to. Someone with a different set of cultural nuances or cultural values might look at it differently. So, tinitailor ko po sa ganun. Tinitailor ko in the same way kapag ibang lahi yung client ko, I would always have to be sensitive dun sa differences ng culture.
Okay. May pagbat ito. Ayan, ano ba yung pagbati niya?
Thank you, Nancy.
Correct. Ano sabi niya? Correct po?
Correct.
Correct po. Ayan, appreciate you po for being humble, helping the Filipino community po talaga. Salamat po, no? Ito
It's a pleasure, Nancy.
Ito iba, hindi marimar kundi mariman, no? Tama ka diyan. Tama ka diyan, attorney. Tama ba 'yan, sabi niya? Tama ka diyan, attorney. Ano ba 'yan?
Salamat, Mariman.
Mariman. Hindi marimar, no? Mariman.
Iba din talaga ang humor ng Pilipino, so Mr. Laragan.
Oo nga, mariman. Ayan, bakit nga ba may suot sa yung mga pag nasa court? O, bakit kailangan may wig? Ba't naka-wig ang mga... Siguro ito, parang getting to know. Kayo kung ano mga tinatanong nyo na, ha?
Sige po.
Marlman pala, hindi pala mariman, Marlman. Okay, anyway. Attorney DANNA, why in court they wear something on the head? Baka yung wig.
The reason for that is, and especially much more pertinent sa criminal trials, is para hindi nila makilala yung abogado when they go out.
Ganun. Mas kinakita mo ng harapan na tao na. Okay. Yun ang reason bakit may wigs. Ha?
Yeah, makikita mo pa rin. And it's more of tradition than tradition ng court ng England. And to give you a little bit of information as well, we say court color, so hindi ko po na alam kung napapansin nyo na parati lang po ako nakaputi, naka-black at naka-blue.
Oo.
Uniform po yun yun po yung custom sa UK court. So we only wear court colors. Hindi naman sa hindi ka papapasukin, but I'd say it's a bit frowned upon kapag makulay ka, hindi naman makulay, but ang tradition is wear court colors.
So ganyan. So ano yan?
White.
Dark blue at saka black, ganyan, tapos yung white na nasa loob.
White,
So-
very much white, kaya ang uniform ko po is nakaputi po ako parati.
Okay.
So just in case I have to go to the court straight away, one time, first day ko ata sa Day of Valente, I have to go to the court within an hour. So I was wearing white, so I was geared up for it. I had 30 minutes of prep. It was okay. It was just a simple application. So ganon, just in case you need to go to the court straight away. A bit less now kasi remote hearing ngayon. But kahit remote hearing, we still wear court colors. Court colors is white, blue, black, gray. So may dress code po kami.
Oh.
And when you go to higher court, fully gowned, so may gown. So when I talk about more senior lawyers, like my previous boss, my mentor, he would have like may
Bow?
extra collar. We
Collar,
would have a
okay.
gown with him.
Okay.
Fully robed, yun ang tawag namin. So Court of Appeal level, we call them lordship or lordship. I don't know if people know that. Yung mga higher judges here, so it's called lordship. So we call them like Lord Justice.
Ayun.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tradition na nakakatuwa din. Lots of tradition.
Marami kami natututunan pala sa mundo mo, no, attorney, no? Hindi lamang yung advice na yan. At least you're giving us a background there on a lot of things, no? Sa inyong ginagawa. Di ba sabi mo nga, parang gawa tayo ng a day in the life of a lawyer, di ba?
Nakita niyo si AFT, nakaputi din. Nakaputi din kanina. Very
okay.
With the tie. So I don't know if people if people observe that, at least especially sa litigation, if you are likely to be called to the court, naka court colors ka lang.
Pero kayo, nakaganyan, nakaparang ano ba tawag diyan? Blazer, coat, ano ba tawag?
Naka-suit.
Naka-suit.
Yeah.
Okay. Pero pwede ka bang nakapantalon o nakapalda?
That's fine. I would say noon was a bit more mas stricto sila noon about women wearing. Narinig ko lang po to, hindi po sa time ko. Sa time ko walang bahala ka kung trousers or naka-skirt suit. Naka-skirt suit po ako. So
naka-skirt ka. Hindi kasi nagkita kasi kami ni Attorney Lira kanina dahil binigyan nga ako ng isang malaking bag ng Doritos, no? Naka-trousers ba tawag doon? Naka-pants? Parang gano'n?
Yeah, trousers. Yeah.
Pero ikaw, mas mahilig ka sa ano ka? Mas mahilig ka sa skirt?
Skirt suit.
Skirt suit. Yung preference mo. Okay.
That's preference for me. So, wala silang ano doon. It used to be, I'll be honest, ang pagkakaalam ko sa older generation, is talagang nire-require ata na, I don't know, don't quote me on this. I think nire-require na mag-skirt. I'm not sure about this. Narinig ko lang to sa yung mga stories with lawyers. Sa generation ko pa wala. But yung color coding po, medyo strict sila. Hindi man strict. May dress code. We call it court colors.
Court colors, no? Ayan. Si Marimal, hindi para Mariman, Marlman. Oh. Ayan.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah.
Nakilala niya yung mukha ko. Baka mamaya bigla ko huntingin ito, no? So bira ka nagkamali. No, sorry, but Marlman. Ganda naman ang pangalan ni Marlman, no? Okay.
Gawa tayo yung segment next time. Yung mga common, yung mga unusual na mga ng court dito. Alam mo dito, Mr. Science, super friendly. I would say friendly. Maano sila, kumbaga, masyado silang nire-respeto yung opposition mo kasi ang tawag nga namin, when we're referring to them, when we're making submissions to the court, we actually call our opposition our learned friend. Our learned friend.
Our learned friend, may mga ginagamit. Well, that's good. Kaya great info, attorney, sabi ni Nancy Amores Nicole, because we're getting to know kung ano yung mga ins and outs diyan, or yung mga parang practices, no? Or yung mga ano, no? Sa law. Ayan, ito
Yes.
si Edgardo Cagahastian Enriquez. Thanks, Attorney Dana and Kuya Sunny. Very informative and interesting. Well, thank you very much, no? At least
For the life in the day, para makita nila kung ano yung usual na day sa solicitor's office without breaking confidentiality. Kung paano, as a litigator, kung paano, minsan makikita mo na kahit may schedule ka, biglang nawala sa schedule, or minsan may emergency na inquiry, and how we deal with it sa time namin. I think people would find it interesting na talagang very fast-paced actually siya.
kayo ba, pagka Lunes talagang busy ba? Lunes ba ang pinaka-busy, ganun? O depende, any day of the week is busy? Or Monday ba should be the bulk of the work na tipong, mas lalo kayong, okupado?
Well, I'll tell you what, ito analysis ko lang po to. With family litigation, we're very busy sa Monday kasi yung weekend, ginawa ng tao para mag-reflect, mag-soul search.
Okay.
So they'd be thinking about their life's problems over the weekend.
Oo.
And they would make a decision na come Monday, I will speak to a lawyer. So Monday is always busy. Yun lang yung analysis ko doon. This is well known in the community, conveyancing, yung magko-complete ng purchase, they're very busy on Friday.
Bakit? Gusto nila makapasok na, makabahay na, makatira na sa bahay bago mag-weekend?
Correct, exactly.
Correct.
Correct.
Doon na sila ng weekend.
About the law. So, we walang yung mga cases sa court, they at least with civil, wala pong they're just randomly listed yung mga hearing namin. So, you'd get your scheduled na mga hearing, but then depende sa araw biglang may papasok na urgent daw, so you have to probably drop yung mga non-urgent to deal with the urgent. So it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Walang day na pareho.
Oo. Attorney, ito mukhang maiiyak ka sa message, parang matouch ka, parang baka ito maganda yung yung message niya. Kala ko galit sa atin, kala ko aawayin ako.
Sorry, Marie.
Sabi niya, your spirit attorney. Pwede mo basahin, attorney? Tingnan ko kung nababasa mo yan.
Nababasa. Your spirit attorney, Dana, was so different. Nakakagaan ka ng pakiramdam. I will see you soon, attorney. Nakakagaan.
Bakit kaya I will see you soon? Bakit kaya? Hindi ka naman pwedeng dalawin diyan tapos bigyan ka ng adobo, no? Wala namang ganoon, no? Wala namang ganyan sa
adobo.
Oo nga, adobo.
Sana matapos na to para magkaroon tayo ng meet up.
Yes, nagkaroon tayo ng mga look up, ano mga challenge natin, dapat matuloy-tuloy na 'yon. Gawin natin uli 'yon. Ayan, thank you po, Kuya Sani. Thank you, Kuya Sani. I don't mind how you pronounce my name. Lang pala, AKA, alias lang pala yon. Also known as. Kaya, di ba? AKA, also known as. But that's good. Okay lang, no? Marlman, kung kailan ka pupunta kay, ito, sumagot na, attorney. Baka may kailangan. I will need your legal, I need your legal advice, of course, Kuya. Hindi ako, hindi ako. Wala. Pag ako kinuha mo na advice, baka kusa ka, baka pulutin ka sa kangkungan dahil siyempre, 'di ba? Okay, 'di ba, ma-fine ka pa. But I'm sure ang ibig sabihin niya ikaw, attorney. I need your legal advice, of course. Of course, yeah.
No worries. But yeah,
So,
sana nga magkaroon tayo ng reunion tayo lahat when this is all over, and makita natin yung mga kababayan natin. Hopefully may barrio fiesta.
Sana nga mag-improve na ito, sabi naman ni Nancy Amores Nicole, mag-event po tayo one day. Mag-event po na one day. Sabi. Let's do that. Mag-event tayo one day. Okay. Well, but teka muna, na-extend na tayo. Napasarap yung kwentuhan natin. Alam niyo si attorney, si Jovi Salvador. Ano ba yan? Umiibig yata to. sabi attorney Hi, Attorney Dana and Kuya, watching here. Jovi Salazar, sabi niya, watching here from the Philippines and hello to Paul Morgan. Baka yun ang boyfriend siguro niya, sweetheart niya.
Hello, Morgan.
Pwede ka ba magbigay ng advice sa puso? No, hindi naman, wala na ron, no? Hindi na pa pwede yan. Puro ano lang tayo, sa legal lang tayo, no? Baka biglang manawagan dito, magkaroon ng love notes, no? Bawal na. Sa bagay, yung ano mo, di ba, divorce and family, you handle family, di ba? Yung company, yung you handle family law, ganyan mga family. Okay. Pwede naman pala. So, okay. Ayan. O yan, nagkakaano lang ho kami ni attorney, no? Ito ay medyo parang light moments natin, doon pa sa mga tanong-tanong nyo. Kasi bukod doon sa mga open forum natin, things about the law, no? Kung ano yung mga best practices, yung mga ginagawa nila attorney, no? At may nagtanong nga nung tungkol sa buhok, no? Bakit nga may wig, no? Para pala hindi makilala, gano'n, no?
Yung sabi sa akin, para doon hindi makilala. And part ng tradition nila yon, I think it's a long, matagal nang ginagawa ng law yun. So that's one of the things. And bakit parating nakaputi po ako? At bakit ako?
Ayan. Okay. Well, sige. Magpaalam na tayo. Attorney, baka meron ka mga nais pang banggitin o may babatiin or shoutouts or anything. Sige. Go right ahead, please. Dahil magpapaalam na tayo.
I just want to say thank you. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng sumusubaybay, lahat ng nagtatanong, lahat ng sumusuporta, lahat na nag-engage sa segment na to. It's such a pleasure. Nakakatuwa, parang Pilipinas lang, parang isang forum lang. So please do take advantage of the segment at natutuwa po kaming makatulong. So maraming salamat po. Daghang salamat sa inyo tanan, and we'll see you next week.
Palagi ko mag-aral ka ng European law, attorney. Mukhang maraming ito. Hindi kasi kamukha nito. So I lead your legal advice yan, no? Sabi niya. Ito, meron pa isa rito. Sabi niya, Attorney Dana, Kangen ba? Kangen. Leti Baldos Reyes. Attorney Dana, I wonder how we can get in touch for legal advices. Hello to both watching from Madrid.
Email po. Email is d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. So, if you, ayan po.
Ito ang problema natin. Baka may mag-email sa'yo from Switzerland, from Italy, from from all parts of the Europe, no? Oo. Ayan. Well, mabuhay kayo. Kung gano'n, at least, di ba, nakakatuwa naman, no? Love na love natin si attorney kasi dahil ganyan, no? Okay, sana we hope panalangin nga ni Nancy Nicole, di ba? Sabi niya, maggawa raw ng event. Magsama-sama tayo. Alam mo ba, attorney, nung araw, meron akong program na the late night radio show sa DWIC nung araw. Nagkaroon kami ng grupo, ang tawag, yung mga nakikinig sa akin, ang tawag nila sa sarili nila mga TPs. Alam mo yung TPs? Yung letter T at saka P. Tapos plural. Ano ibig sabihin ng TPs?
Ano?
TP. Di ba may TP? Net TPs. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi ganoon. Ang ibig sabihin nun, mga TPs, dahil late night radio show, ang tawag sa kanila mga TPs, mga tiyonggong puyat. So, TPs. Pero we created a group. Meron akong fun run. Would you believe yung parang socializing yon? Every Sunday sa Cultural Center of the Philippines. Lahat ng mga listeners ko noon, magkikita-kita kami sa Cultural Center. Tatawagin lang namin kunyaring fun run. Pero actually, chika-chika lang yun. Uupo doon sa mga puno-puno doon kung saan doon. Nag-getting to know, no? Nagiging friends. At maraming nagkakakilala. Ay, ikaw pala si ganon. Kasi minsan tumatawag sila sa program. So, yung bosses lang, di ba, naririnig mo? And then you get to see them in person. Nakakatuwa. Yun ang medyo parang appeal nun, no? Nung ganong situations. Ayan.
Pwede natin buhayin yung TPs, Mr. Hindi lang tiyonggong puyat. Ano lang, titang puyat.
Kasi TPs, mga TPs. Okay, Nancy Amores, ayan, thank you daw so much po. Sabi ni Kanjen, mabuhay po, sabi kayo, no? Siguro anin lang natin 'to baka kasi Ayan, sabi niya, thank you, mabuhay po kayo, sabi ni Kanjen, sabi niya. Tapos sabi naman ni Nancy Amores, tagapakinig, ayan. Sabi ni, ano to, Jog, haba ng pangalan, ang LS Abad, ang bata ni attorney, kumusta po? Ayun. Ano pa?
Hindi naman po.
Haba ng pangalan, Janela. Siguro tignan mo na lang doon sa sa post. Hindi ko alam ang spelling. Habang pangalan, Anginelli, no? Anyway, so thank you very much, attorney, no? Well, I hope yung mga tanong ho ninyo, nasagot ni attorney, pero kung hindi ho masyadong masasagot pwede ho yun yung email kaagad kasi siyempre meron mga iba pang mga kanya-kanya pa ho palang yan, mga speciality, no? Sa batas, no? Parang ganun din sa broadcasting, may mahusay ng newscasting, hirap sa sportscasting, may mahusay mag-DJ, hindi kayang parang announcing ng mga commercials, no? Depende ho, may kanya-kanyang linya ho yan, no? So ganyan ho yan. Okay, well, I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. Nais ko hong pasalamatan lahat ng mga sumali ho sa atin at nakibahagi at nanood, no, attorney, no? Siyempre, dahil kung wala ho kayo, wala rin ho tayo rito. At thank you very much sa mga tanong ninyo. At sana'y every Tuesday evening, ugaliin ho ninyo na manood dito. In fact, mas mahaba pa to kaysa sa The Sunny Laragan Show. Diba? Dahil mas maganda ho. Marami ho kayong mga tanong dito at very engaged ho tayong lahat. So, nakakatuwa ho yan. So, sa ngalan ho ni Ifti siya, no, yung guest solicitor natin who talked about wills and estate planning. And of course, yung ating pinakamamahal na batang-batang abogada, no? Siyempre, walang iba kundi si Attorney DANNA Quinto. Ito po si Sunny Laragang nagsasabing magkita-kita ho ulit tayo for another edition of Legal Advice Corner next week ho, no? At panoorin din ho niyo yung mga replay, no, natin, no, sa mga susunod na mga araw, no, when we do some watch parties. So till Tuesday night, no, for the Legal Advice Corner, at till tomorrow night naman for the Sunny Laragan Show. This is Sunny Laragan here saying thank you very much for keeping me and keeping us company. Whatever you do, guys, hit it with your best shot. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.